Hey there, welcome to another episode of Galaxy Gardens and happy Halloween. It's October 31st, Halloween, All Hallows Eve, among all of those other great celebrations that are occurring tonight. Today we are due for snow this week, more on that later, but we need to do some harvesting. So this is going to be like a harvesting garden tour type of video. And we're running out of sunlight, so let's go and see what we can get done in, my watch on me, I think about 30 minutes. Babies, I gotta grab your eggs. We got one Wyandotte egg yesterday. I know. So let's see what we got today. Oh, there's two little green eggs. But our Wyandotte's starting to lay again, which is a good sign. Got these beautiful green eggs. The one on the left is kind of like a mint green, and the one on the right is a little bit brassy. So, getting some good eggs in. Our main garden is looking stunning, and believe it or not, we're gonna get a snow shower on tomorrow. It was 82 degrees on Saturday when we were out doing yard work, and it might snow tomorrow. So I'd say everything looks pretty decent. I'm gonna grab some of that sorghum, but I think everything else should be okay. I'm over here walking and look at these nosy Nellies, huh, babies? So we have some names. We have Marshmallow, Evil Clyde, Honey, obviously Bertha, Meatball, Mohawk, and the two lavender colored ones over there don't have names yet, although I think the darker one we're gonna go with Fazul, like pasta Fazul, and then I was floating periwinkle for the lighter colored one because they're kind of a douchebag, but I don't think it's gonna stick. I think we're gonna do something else. I always love watching what we're doing out here. All right, here is our tobacco, and we're gonna get some gloves out because you can actually absorb nicotine from the leaves. And I'm about a week or two past when I was supposed to get these, so you can see the bottom leaves are already starting to cure themselves. So just take precaution. I mean, this is extra. There's definitely people who harvest tobacco without using gloves, but that's okay. All we're gonna do is just strip the leaves off. That's what was easiest for me last year, and we'll bring them inside. So I'll talk to you some more later about what we're gonna do with it. But the way you know your tobacco is ready to harvest, I actually had a former work colleague of mine told me this tip. I hope he's doing well wherever he is. But usually where we live in Massachusetts, it's ready to go that first holiday in October, Indigenous Peoples Day, and that's just because of the way our weather works. So today's Halloween, we're a little bit beyond that. And the other thing, you know, which I learned on my own, so like this is closer to what it looks like when you're curing it, but you want to get them when they kind of look like this. So they're getting pale. On larger leaf tobaccos, it'll actually be like a pale yellow. So closer to this with less of the brown on there. And then you can cure it from there, and that's pretty much the best stage. But we still have a bunch of tobacco from last year, so I'm not worried if we like lose some. Even this, it's not even moldy. I can rehydrate this and maybe shred it up. Not encouraging tobacco use. This is just information if you were growing tobacco on your own. Not going to encourage anyone to grow or to not grow tobacco. This is just what we do. This is what we grow. So I'm going to go through, grab the rest of this, and even these little leaves that are falling off, we can dry and shred that. And then these, oh, I got a little flower head up here. I'll just compost them, or you can make a water infusion with the branches as well, or with the tobacco leaves, and use it as an insecticide. But it's not super serious, so I gotta go get my loppers. We'll get the rest of these out. So let me grab all this. You can see our California poppy still growing in, and then we're gonna work on our Cardoon. I wanted to show you a close-up of the tobacco seed pods, which I can't seem to get in focus, but your tobacco is just going to go to flower. It's just part of how it grows. And these seed pods will contain a bunch of little tiny seeds. They kind of look smaller than poppy seeds. And honestly, for the purposes of what we do, the seeds from even one of these is more than enough, but it's always good to have them. So I always let one of my plants go to flower. I say always, we grew them for the first time last year, so this is our second year. But this is a petite Canadian tobacco. And the plants stay small like this, which is great. So we're hoping to make some cigars with it. And I'm just gonna clip off this whole top here, bring it in, and let them dry some more inside. And then they'll be good to go. It's gonna take this whole branch, and I'll separate these once we get inside. But those, let's see if we can do this better. There you go. Those are pretty cool. Maybe I'll pop one open when we go inside. I gotta remember. But let's grab the rest of this tobacco. There's our tobacco and our two little green eggs. This I'll show you when we go inside, but that's plenty for us, trust me. Now let's check this out. Look at all this Cardoon. You can see I have some bunching onions in there, but Cardoon did amazing this year. So let's go take it out because it does well with a touch of frost, which we got this morning. We got our first frost this morning, but it does not like when it gets super cold, so it needs to come out before tomorrow. We have our Cardoon here, which is amazing. Cardoon is a type of artichoke, but instead of grown for the artichoke heads, they're growing it for the stems. Now you don't need the whole stem. I'll do most of the processing inside, but these can be a little tricky to get out because they have a pretty gnarly root underneath. So I'm gonna get my scissors. And they have a little spiky. If there's any like this that aren't doing good, just toss it. Oh, I already stuck myself with a spike. The rest of it, I'm just gonna pull it up. Ooh, spiky, spiky. Still left my gloves on. Like that. I'm gonna cut it at the base. So you can see. Ladies, knock it off. Bertha and Meatball have just, they've been good, but they're a little territorial. Anyways, there you go. So this is the harvested Cardoon. This is the part we're going to use. There's different types of Cardoon. This is a type you don't have to blanch. There are types that you need to blanch, which means about a month before you're going to pick it, you're gonna put something dark all around here to block the light from getting in there so these turn white, because they can get really bitter. I grew this last year. It tastes like the best artichoke heart you've ever had. All we do is remove the leaves as far up the stalk as you can save. It'll take me 10 minutes to process all of these once we go in. And then there's actually a pretty fine, I don't know if it's like a covering or what on here that you can just pull off. It's a little easier once it's frozen, or you can leave it on. It's recommended to put these in hot water. I can find a recipe for it before you do anything else, but I was even eating this a little bit raw, and then I think we made like fried Cardoon sticks, and I chopped up a bunch to put in the freezer. So this is great, and I'm really happy with our harvest. I'm also realizing I'm sitting on our fennel. So let me grab all of these, and I'll be back with you shortly. Holy cow, look at that. That's awesome. Let's see, almost out of light. Phew. Oh, you see that? So much Cardoon. Looks great. So I don't have to process it all tonight. What I can do is just take those outer leaves off. I can actually put them in a Ziploc bag in the fridge, and that'll be fine for about a week, but I just need it till next weekend. Over here, these are, I think, Japanese bunching onions. This is a variety. They're awesome here. Let me just put my hand for scale, how big it is. This is right next to it. Wow, that one's a monster. These will be fine if we get a little bit of snow this week. Not worried about them. Doesn't look amazing. All right, we're about out of light, so let me go check out the sorghum really quick. I need to put the flashlight on. Look at that. So much sorghum. Anyways, this is Mennonite sorghum, which is good. So this one, not ready to go. This one, ready to go. Let me grab a handful of them, and we'll come back. And I'll talk about that a little bit. I was getting a little toasty, so I had to ditch the jacket. This is the only 3 sorghums that are ready to harvest right now. And all the other ones are at different stages of being ready. So look into the growth habits of sorghum. It is very well documented. Trust me, there's a lot of research transcripts that I read through to figure out how to grow this, because there really aren't too many actual growing tutorials on YouTube about it, and I searched like so much. I had so many questions. So I hope this is helpful for you. So each of these little seeds will make their own sorghum plant. In the spring, when I planted this, when the soil was warm, we aimed for, I think just for me to feel good about it, I aimed for like at least 60-degree soil. I put, between 3 or 4 of these in every hole, and you've seen our bed, so you know how many fit together. And they just look like grass for a very long time. And then as they get to maturity and that grass gets taller, all of a sudden you see these start sticking out, and they have their own stages of growth. So what I'm looking for, you'll see too when they grow, they're very like green and immature, and then they start plumping up. And you'll see, for this variety at least, it looks very white after it gets plump. You can't pick it then. So usually at that point, they're at what you call like a milk stage, where if you were to like crush it open, it would be like milky. You want to wait till they actually get hard, which from what I understand is about a month from the milk stage. But there's so many different kinds of sorghum, there's a lot of variations there. You want to wait for these kernels to get hard, where you can't pierce them with your thumb. Oh, this one's hard. Or, no, that one's gone. When you take off one of these, that one's gone too. There you go. You bite it, it's either hard, or in the case with that one, it just broke in half, but it was very dry. It's important that you get these to a certain stage of maturity before you pick them. Now, last year I grew this black Milo sorghum, where the kernels are about half the size of this and they get rock hard. This is a totally different kind, so we're just seeing what we can do. However, we had a color change that happened, and then I noticed that about a week ago, and I was like, oh, I'll keep an eye on it, let's see what we can do. And now they've actually popped out from their holes, so they're good to go. If we leave them any longer, the birds are gonna take them, which is another sign. If you see the birds starting to grab them, you know they're ready to go. So what I'm gonna do with these is we're gonna hang them inside, upside down. We'll let them dry out some more, which they dry out pretty quickly. And then from there, we'll pull them off of this and winnow it, and then put it in storage. I got nervous about storage last year, so rather than putting it in a dry jar, because I was just so nervous it was gonna get moldy, I just put it in the freezer, and that was fine. The black Milo sorghum, I tried so hard to cook it. It didn't work. It just never cooked. It was just a hot mess. And the hole didn't come off like with these ones. So I'm hoping with this, now that the hole looks like it's popped off a little bit. I'll give you a close-up in a second. I'd really love to cook it like a grain, like you do with rice. But if not, use this for flour. And anything extra, we can just give it to the chickens, because that's, you know, pretty good for their feed. So let me give you a close-up on this, and then we'll go inside. Greg's practicing guitar right now, so I thought it'd be a little quieter in here. Also pretty cool behind me, right there in that red bag. We had enough Baltic rose potatoes this year, and that I'm gonna try keeping in a bag. And it gets pretty cold in here, and we'll see if they make it to March to plant them. Although, I think I said earlier I planted these in the spring. I don't know if I said March. I think I planted these in May. I hope those potatoes do good. I bought play sand to store potatoes in. I was gonna do a whole video about it, and then I forgot I bought it for that. And then we used it as a layer underneath the marble gravel for the chicken coop. And I realized afterwards you're not supposed to put that in there, but it's been fine. So to the bag the potatoes go. So let me turn this around, or I'm gonna keep chatting. So you can see here a bit of a variety. So these more red kernels are what the rest of these looked like last week. And then as we get up here, you can see, let's see how close I can get this with the camera cooperating. Apparently that close. They've popped out just a little bit. And what's kind of cool about sorghum is it'll ripen from here down. I just thought that was pretty neat. So when I winnow these, when I take this off, I pull them off here, put them through a strainer, put them through a strainer again, just trying to get only these little grain pods. And then you just put a fan on it outside and try to get any chaff off. It worked pretty good, so I'm really excited for these. And they look really good too. I mean, that's really pretty. Like, it's not broom corn, but it'd be a pretty nice decoration. It'd probably make the birds outside happy. The little ones that come by. But no, we're gonna try to eat it. Well, I just looked. Greg's still practicing, which is fine. He can practice, it's just a little loud in there. I wanted to talk to you about the tobacco and what we do. So last year we got over our heads, well over our heads with growing normal sized tobacco. I don't remember the varieties we grew. I've talked about it in a harvest video last year, so you can go check that out. But the large leaf tobacco for a home gardener, I'm sorry, it's so hard. Those things hold so much moisture. And so let me start with the Canadian tobacco. Oh my God. So the petite Canadian tobacco, that's what we harvested today. Last year, I put it on a line and hung it up in my kitchen. So all the little tobacco leaves got airflow. And don't come at me about how we cured our tobacco. There are so many different ways to do it. This is just how we did it. Anyways, so we hung it up to just get some passive airflow in our kitchen. And we waited until they turned brown. And while you do that process, if you notice they're getting a little bit too dry, because you don't want them to dry too fast, you can just spritz them with water. That worked perfect. Then when it was about a week into that, I don't think we even had to do a full week, I took them down and I piled them up on top of each other and wrapped them in a towel. That's it. Now, when you get to that point, you need to take them out and shuffle them every day to give them airflow so they don't get moldy, because while they may look dry, there's still some moisture in there. And that's part of the curing process. And I don't even remember how long we did it. I'll look at my notes and I'll put it in the description below. For what we did last year, I think we did it like maybe a month. But you have to shuffle it every single day. Now, when you have small leaf tobacco, I mean, these leaves, maybe max 12 inches, not even, maybe like 8 inches mostly, that's totally manageable. Now, when you get large leaf tobacco, there's different ways to make it. So I was reading, and like one way they make cigarette tobacco is they dry it super, super fast by hanging it and having fans blast air through it. Versus like cigar tobacco, which you want to ferment in a way. And I am not building a tobacco fermenter in my house. You know, I'm not losing my oven, for quite a long time to do that either. So I did it the low budget way, where you take it. Now, this large leaf tobacco, I did not hang it first because I tried that. And the leaves are just like one leaf was me standing like past my hip, like it was huge. The rest were smaller, but still huge. And when it dries, it like curls in. So too much. It was too much. And so what I decided to do was I watched a bunch of videos on this. I was like, let's pile them up. We'll put them in the towel and we'll shuffle it every day. And for some of them, it worked very well. However, there was one pile of them I missed a day, and immediately, like one day, they all stuck together. They got moldy. Some of them got slimy. It's disgusting. It's a lot of effort. It truly is. And if you have the capacity to do that and keep up with it, listen, power to you. I can't do that, so that's why this year we only grew the little tobacco. If it makes little cigars, that's fine. I don't care. If we were to do bigger tobacco, I think what we would do is kind of dedicate like a barn area and do it like OG style. I'm from Connecticut. We're known for tobacco. I used to drive around and see all the red tobacco farms, tobacco barns at the tobacco farms. So I know it's done. We just don't have the space. And they have to stay like a certain temperature and humidity. And I
at this time last year, I was like, I'm not building a whole setup. And I could have prepared ahead, but we did a bunch of other stuff, so you gotta make it work. So we did get a decent amount of tobacco last year, but we lost. Oh man, we lost a lot. Which, you know, in the grand scheme of things, for the kind of, I mean, seeds really aren't expensive and they're not that big. And you really only have to plant it and pick it. And if you see flowers coming off, you pick those off unless you want to save the seeds. Yeah, so petite Canadian tobacco. And let me tell you, that stuff is super easy to cure. I'm really excited to get that set up. This time around, I don't think I have enough stuff to hang it. I'm gonna see. Last year I just used a wire and just kind of threaded everything through. This time around, I think what I'm gonna do is get a big towel. Instead of putting them in a pile, I'll put them next to each other because we didn't get that much. And we have so much left over from last year, so I think that'll work better. But this is a pretty good harvest day, so let me go inside again. I gotta put the chickens to bed first, and then go inside, and then I got one more thing for you. But it's fall and it's Halloween, and I'm so excited.
Now that we're back inside, I wanted to show you how we process the cardoon. It's very easy. You're just pulling these leaves off. Once it gets pretty skinny, I just pull the top off. So even up here, this is what we're left with. And there's a little bit on here. I don't know how well it shows up. Hold on. There you go. On the outside of this, it's a little bit fuzzy. So we're just gonna scrape it. There's all that gunk coming off. I could leave it. I don't know. I scraped it off last year. I don't know if it really makes a difference. But you get your finished cardoon. And then from here, I'll put some directions in the description. We pretty much put in some boiling water. If you want to, I don't even know if it's this variety, if it's necessary, with some lemon, and some people say maybe a little bit of bread. I forget how long you have to do it. I think it's like 10 or 20 minutes, which I think is a little overkill. And then you can do stuff with it. But I think this year I'm just gonna leave it raw. But I'm just gonna do this to all of them, put them in some Ziploc bags, and then we'll cook them on the weekend. I forgot to add, so in the bigger ones, this one's not as necessary. There's these strands, which you can see. I don't know how well you can see it. You can see the ribbing here. And you can go to the end and just pull them off. With this variety, I don't know how necessary it is, but the kind that you blanch, you absolutely need to do this. And that way, you get nice tender stalk. But again, this is honestly a really good variety. And there you go. Made some soup with some chopped up ones of this last year, but just fried up and fresh. It's like the best artichoke flavor. So we're just gonna plan to grow this every year. There you go. But again, you don't really need to do it with this size. It kind of looks like celery when you're done. Well, this doesn't take very long, so we'll be done with this shortly. All right, it's a little quieter here. Check this out. 2 gallons. We got a gallon last year. We got 2 gallons this year. This is awesome. Let me go put these down. I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about it very quickly. We got to wrap this up tonight.
Wow, what a day. This is quite a busy day for us, but happy Halloween. If you're more of the occultist variety, I hope this is a full evening for you as well. I'm super happy that we harvested that tobacco in Cardoon. I need to emphasize how great it is that we got 2 gallons, and of course my hands are dyed from it. The flavor of that Cardoon, imagine really good artichoke hearts that are crunchy. And now imagine having 2 full gallons of artichoke hearts. I paid $2 for a pack of Cardoon seeds. I have 2 gallons of Cardoon for the fridge right now. That's like having 2 gallons of artichoke hearts just at my disposal. They taste exactly the same. They just have a different texture. I'm so excited. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna chop up half of it, and honestly I'll fry the rest, or I can get some stuff going so we can have some snacks in the freezer. Super tasty. This is definitely an option if you're a gardener like me, where you get a cold winter that freezes, or at least you get a winter below 60 degrees. This is great because normal artichokes, I can't grow them up here because it's just not enough time. But for Cardoon, where I think the effort to return ratio is a little bit better, it tastes fantastic, and I don't have to peel a whole artichoke to get what I want out of it. So that's awesome. So what I'm gonna do when we're done here is just lay out our tobacco in a layer and a towel and call it a day. And then the seeds, I'll cut off the seed heads, put them on a tray, and let them finish drying out. But this is a great Halloween. They're really good. And also over the weekend, on Saturday, we had the full moon. In some places there was a partial eclipse, but it was the hunter's moon, and we actually, fortunately, we didn't have rain on a weekend for once, so we had a nice fire to celebrate that. But thanks for joining me for this mostly harvesting sort of garden tour video. We have some other stuff on the way. I just really wanted to get this out for Halloween. I hope wherever you are ends up being a great night, but we'll see you next time.